May I respect to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and may I respect to our almost venerable audience and who are watching us right now, and may I respect to our venerable Aungkham who are with me, and thank you very much for joining me today live. Welcome everyone for our monk chat live today, and this is another interesting day that I have an honor from Venerable Aungkham, and he's going to join us, have a discussion, and have a chat. So thank you very much, Venerable Aungkham, for joining me today. And how is your situation and there in Cheng Tung? So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, and before we start have a chat for today discussion?
Okay. First of all, may I pay respect to triple gems, which are the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And may I pay respect to Venerable Somboon as well, and as well as for our viewers, audience as well. So my name is Venerable Aungkham, and now I live in Kingdom, Eastern Chan State, Myanmar. So in here, the weather is well, everything is good. And for the weather now is the winter. The weather is quite a little bit cold, so they might have to wear some scraps. In here, situation in here very quiet at the night time because I live in the mountain. I live in the mountain and there is no noise of cars. There is no noise of the motorcycle or something like that. Just only the insect singing sounds. Yes, it's a
Okay.
nice place. Yes.
So it sounds very, very peaceful. Nah. Okay,
Yes.
thank you once
It's
again for
peaceful.
joining me. And actually, we are the Venerable Aungkham and me. We are a classmate. Actually, we used to study together at the MCU at the Chiang Mai campus together. And now after finishing studying, then he went back to his hometown and now maybe as an how to say the senior monks at your home at your temple hometowns and teach. And so what are you doing right now so far?
Okay. Since I came back from Thailand, I came back to my village and now I teach the novices at my temple, and I'm trying to help the people to practice the meditation as well, and
Mm,
as well as to teach the Dhamma to the lay people here. And I I would like to say thank you so much for my experience from Chiang Mai, Thailand, that I have been learning a lot of from the university, from friends, from the experiences that I have studied in MCU. Before I go in there, I have no idea how to study, how is the meditations, because when I stay here before I went to study at MCU, I never study hard about the meditation or the Dhamma as well, because I live in countryside, no more, just a little bit Dhamma that I have studied. So when I have a chance to study at the university from Thailand, I have studied a lot of teaching the Dhamma on as well as for the meditations. So thank you for the experience. It's good.
okay, so I'm very happy to hear that. And actually, so
Yes.
I feel very, very happy that we have you here. And actually, so and like you mentioned before we have this live, you told me that my English is turning. As I haven't used it for long, but you made me surprised, So even though you haven't speak English for a long time, but your English speaking skills still very, how do I say, so good. Actually, that is what I really feel. And wow,
Uh-huh.
so
Thank you.
that is
Yes,
a surprise
honestly,
for me. Mhm.
yes, yes. Honestly, since I came back from Thailand, I haven't spoken for a
Mm.
long time. Just
Oh,
sometime chat with
mm,
friends from
mm,
Vietnam or from Thailand, something just a little bit, not too much
mm,
like in Thailand. Yes.
okay.
So I hope you all apologize for my English.
Okay, thank you. So actually, Venerable Aungkham, and actually, what is I very admire and respect him, and actually, he is one of the very one of the respectful monk, in our class that he pay. From my observation, since we worked together in the first year, I feel like he was so how to say worry about his studying, but because his efforts and working hard and help him improve a lot through the years, even though it's a not very long time, but I've seen his progress in learning and speaking. And what I even
Mhm.
more uh how to say respect to the Venerable Aungkham is that he's not only uh, improving himself in the language, but his way, his behavior, especially being just a good role model for monk, and he used to uh, how to say went to like a long meditations how to say the longer course, maybe 45 days, and at the what Patasi Jomtong, as how to say, can you tell us a little bit your experience like being as a Vipassana meditation master trainings there? Hmm. So
Mhm.
can you share with us
Yes,
more about your experience?
yes, for sure. Uh-huh. And I have to say that it was the first time that I have uh, practiced for a long time in my life. This is the first time. It was the first time.
Mm, mm, mm,
Yes, it was really peaceful for me. Before that, when I live here in Kingdom, I don't really have chance to practice meditation too much. So when
mm,
I get in Thailand, study at the MCU Buddhist University, and in every day, in every year that we have to practice meditation for 10 days in a year. So it was,
mm,
it gets something that happened in my mind that is really peaceful, and I thought that for only 10 days is not really enough for us, for the monks. So I thought in
I
my
see.
mind that if I have chance, I have to practice more about the meditation because it helps us a lot. It changed our mind, it changed our habits. So thereby I decided to join the meditation for more 45 days, I think, in Wat Chom Thong in Chiang Mai. So when I got in Sompong temple to practice meditation, and when I got there, it very nice place. So when we practice in there, uh, what to say? I trying to uh, detach from everything. Uh, we don't what to
Mm,
say. We're trying to be with ourselves. Uh, don't speak too much. When I get there, I trying to not speak with anyone except for the teacher, for the meditation teacher. I trying to be quiet for 45 days. I spoke very lessly, trying to look inside our mind, what happened, and what is in our mind. And so when we practiced there, uh, it was very nice and peaceful, because we studied together for more than 200 months, I think. But in day, really quiet,
Wow.
no noise.
Mm.
There's only practice by oneself, but we practice together there. And the most
Mm.
sorry, for the most interesting thing is I can look in my mind. I can see what happened in my mind, because in our everyday, we can't see our mind, what happened in our mind. Just happen, and just uh,
Mm.
something happened and something go really fastly. We don't know what happened, so we don't mind. But when we get in the Wat Jom Thong, when we practice longer and longer, we can see in our mind what it happened, happiness,
Mm.
sadness, and something that come in our mind. We can
Mm.
see when it happened and when it goes, something that we can see it clearly. We can see our mind.
Mm.
So
Mm.
even though that we just have one meal per day, but we can survive. Uh, I mean
Mm.
that
Mm.
it's not really hard that to be uh, to be practiced. When we got there, the teacher told us that we have to speak less, eat less, and sleep less.
Mm.
So we practiced
Mm. Mm.
uh, since 4 a.m. until 10 p.m. every day. So we
Mm.
try to sleep less, even though when we go to sleep, when we go to bed, we trying to be mindful. So when we get there, we
Mm.
trying to do things with our mindfulness. Uh-huh.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when we walk, speak, uh, take a bath, something like that, we have to uh, be mindful. So the mindfulness is the thing that can help us from the desire, from the uh, defilement,
Mm.
something like that. So when we practice,
Mm.
our mind quiet, it really peace. And at that time, we can see everything that happened in our mind. So when what happened, we can control them. Control here mean something that happened, unhappiness happened in our mind, but we
Mm.
didn't suffer. We just see it and let it go, something like that. So it really
Okay.
nice. Uh, I hope everyone that uh, can join the meditation, can practice every day. So when we practice that,
Mm.
we can get the experience that even though we don't stay in the meditation retreat, but in our everyday,
Mm.
we can practice vipassana as well, just to be mindful
Mm.
what we are doing, what we are looking, what we are working something. We just be mindful, and that is the meditation. So when I get there, after that, I try to use the vipassana way to use in my life. It changed my life a lot. So that what happened to me.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing such a wonderful experience from your practice, the 45-day Vipassana meditation practice. You just like sharing with us. I have observed you have learned a lot, especially like you better understand, more about the teaching of the Buddha clearly, especially the key important thing that you told us
Yes.
about the key to be successful, to be in the practice is that speak less, eat less, and uh,
Mhm.
sleepless. Uh-huh. That is very
Yes.
helpful. And actually, I have never
Uh-huh.
done that for that long,
Uh-huh.
45 days. Only 10 days. I think that's tough enough for me. Okay, thank you very much anyway for sharing with us. That's a wonderful experience. Okay, so now I think more people are coming in. So before we get into our today topic, I think let's say hi to people who are already coming in right now. So from Venerable Wun Som, hi, hello. And from Web Lab, Namaste, Namaste, Namaste from Shan Lai King, Satu. On from Rarisa, sure. Sorry to be late. Hello from Ottawa, Canada. Oh, from the Canada. What is the situation right there? Is this cold right now? Is better? Okay. Sanu Gupta Sadhu Pran. I remember maybe he's from India. Last time we have a discussion about the audience. He wanted to audience as a Buddhist monk. You know, Venerable Aungkham, have you heard about the news about one of the actor was the main actor in the Life of the Buddha series, and he came to Thailand and ordained as a Buddhist monk. Have you heard about that news?
Yes, I heard that.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I
He
saw
is an
from the
Indian
Facebook.
actor. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, again, I'm happy to see you again, Venerable Aungkham from Venerable Wunsom. Thank you. Hi, Venerable. Okay, from Venerable Wunman. Satu. Yet it is snowing here. Oh, Canada. It must be very cold then. Okay, all right. So I think we have spent our time here. Maybe the topic that we are going to uh, discuss and have a question and answer about it's the noble truth. Last time I have mentioned about the triple gem actually and how those are very important for Buddhist people. And we have talked about the Buddha. Then I just show them about the life of the Buddha and about his background and and how uh, Buddha, nah, so how he becomes a Buddha, the prince, the young prince, the Indian prince, and I have told them about the history of Buddhism a little bit. And today, discussion is going to be focusing on the um, the Dhamma, the Dhamma, or what we call, because there's many definitions of Dhamma, you know. So that's why today's topic, we just like put the topic that we have posed here is the noble truth. So I have invited Venerable Aungkham to to join us in this today discussion because maybe it's related to it's very broad, you know, and when we talk about Dharma, there's a lot of Dharma, or the teaching of the Buddha, you know. So in the Tripitaka, which is a main scripture for in Buddhism, and there's lot of teachings in there. So many people like just how can I learn all of those teaching, you know. So that's why it is possible uh, that to learn the teaching of the Buddha like in a short way, or can it is necessary to understand all the teaching of the Buddha like in all the 45 book or any other kind of like teaching that maybe it's just okay. So Venerable Aungkham, I would like to like can you share with us a little bit what is Dharma really mean to you and according to your understanding, can you share with us here?
Okay, as you say that the Dhamma, the meaning of the Dhamma is very broad, uh, very much meaning to understand. But the Dhamma is the truth that we can see in our everyday life. For example, right now, that if you are watching, and you are hearing our voice, and you are watching us. And if you be mindful, and if you what you are hearing is you be here, present time, in the present moment,
mm,
and
mm,
you realize what is happening now, and you can see the truth from here. The truth is uh, what you are looking, what you are hearing, what you are doing, uh,
mm,
whatever happened to you, you just realize this and trying to see uh, the thing that happened to you. It can be the Dhamma. In here, as our topic, the noble truth, uh,
mm,
it concern about the suffering, or the dukkha.
mm,
So when we
mm,
suffer, when we are happy,
mm,
whatever happened to us, and if we can study from them, that is the Dhamma. We can see, if we can see the truth from what happened to us, that it can be the Dhamma. So the Dhamma is the truth that happened in our life.
mm. So it is very interesting when you said about truth, you know. So I heard that in Buddhism we have been told, you know, and have talked a lot about the teaching of the Buddha, and one of the um, frequent talking about the teaching of the Buddha is about the Four Noble Truths, you know. And the first, and what you already mentioned, is that about the suffering, you know. So many people will, you know, and in the Four Noble Truth, and the dukkha is like many people translate as a suffering, you know. Suffering, death is suffering, like decay is suffering, illness is suffering, separation is suffering. It look very like view the world very negatively. So can you, what really, what do you think about this point? Like many people don't want to, like, how to say, hearing such a negative thing, you know. They view, oh, why monk talking, I don't want anyone to remind me of my own suffering. I know that that is it's suffering, you know. Everybody have to die or something. So why the Buddha teach or taught people about suffering? Why don't he like teach something like a happiness, pleasure, joy, or something like that? Is there any reason for that behind this teaching? Can you like share with us a
Yes,
little bit or share your opinions?
yeah, for sure. There is no one that wants suffering. No one wants suffering, right? Uh,
Mm,
Honestly, in our life, we cannot escape or run away from the suffering.
mm,
So
mm,
some people may view the Buddhism is like a depressed religion, that this spiritual, awful, sorrowful religion, something like that. But in the fact,
mm,
uh, if we cannot run away, or we cannot escape from the suffering, so we have to stay with them, stay with the suffering. So we have to study from
mm,
suffering. We need suffering, because if there is no suffering, there is no happiness. Just as
mm,
like
mm.
the teaching of the Zen Master, uh, Venerable
Ah,
he said that there is no mat,
yes,
no
yes, he
lotus,
said so.
something like that. So,
Mm,
for
mm,
instance,
mm,
like the daughter, if they have to cure the patients, they have to study the body. They have to study the patient first. So it's like the suffering. If we have
mm,
to deal with the suffering, we have to study this suffering first. If we don't study with them, we can, because we cannot run away from the suffering.
mm,
So we have to find a
mm,
way how to deal with the suffering. We have to face with the
mm,
suffering. We have to study from them. We have to study
mm,
from the suffering. What happened? What is suffering? So the Buddha
mm,
himself uh, teach the first in the Noble Truth that suffering. So
mm,
in here, suffering is we can study, because as I mentioned that we cannot run away from suffering,
mm,
right? So in this
mm, mm,
case, we have to face or deal with them, deal with the suffering, look at what is suffering, right? Uh-huh. If we don't study with the suffering, how can we stay with them? Because we cannot run away from suffering, right? So if we open our mind, see the suffering, the suffering can be our teacher. It can be the way to guide us to happiness. It can make us be more happier, something like that. So we have to face with suffering. We have to study from suffering, something like that.
So that's why, firstly, when we talk about truth or the noble truth in Buddhism, and actually, it's not about like reality out there. It's not about like it's not about the origin, So like when our world start or where are we from, So the answer is not like focusing on the origins or how these things happen, but my observation on this about the truth in Buddhism is that the Buddha trying to focus on the problem that happening in our life right now, like rather focusing on like the how to say something that we cannot figure it out in like especially when we talk about the origin or like something like God or something like that. So it's very interesting when we talk about the truth and start with suffering. I think it's easy and it's so real. It's so real and it's very true that and all what he mentioned about life is suffering, but it actually is not just that that simple. It's very deep meaning behind this teaching. When talk about dukkha, it's like could be dissatisfactoriness or uh, how to say disappointment, those kind of thing. I think all of us, every single one of us have experience on this kind of thing. Okay, so according to the Four Noble Truths and the suffering and the second noble truth, it is said that they are the cause of suffering. Can you tell us more a little bit about that? The Buddha actually didn't only point, okay, suffering, exit, life is suffering. You have to suffer forever, But he showed us that actually the suffering that happened in our life, there's a cause. Can you tell us a little bit about the cause of suffering in the second of the noble truth?
Yes. Uh, if something happen, there might be the cause and there might be the effects. So the effect here is the dukkha or the suffering. But the cause of suffering,
Ah,
what is the cause of suffering? So let's see
mm-hmm,
here. What we suffer here is because uh, our desire, our clinging or craving, our heads, something like that. That's the cause of the suffering. For example, like uh, the noble ones, or like the Buddha, they can because they got enlightenment. So they distinguish the desire. So they don't, what to say, they don't have any suffering, because what is suffering is the suffering just only happen in our body or in our mind. But if we look deeply, we can separate the suffering from our mind and the body. So when something happen in our mind, or we getting hurt, something like that, uh, but the hurt is happen in our body, but actually our what to say, if we don't mind, we just let it happen or something like that. If we just uh, know it that it just happened in our body, we don't let it come to our mind, the suffering never get up in our body, in our mind. So here is the cause of suffering is our desire. For example, our desire, our craving, because in nowadays we can see that we suffer a lot from craving or desire. We want that, we want that, we want this. We buy more and more, and we have to find a way to get that thing. Trying to uh, find more find more money or something like that. So these are the cause of suffering. So as the Buddha mentioned, what to say, our five aggregates, that's the cause of suffering. Uh, what to say, our body, for example, our body. If we have the body, it can be the cause of suffering. As we mentioned before that birth is suffering, and that is suffering, sickness is suffering, something like that. So the form of the body, uh, it can be the cause of suffering. The clinging desire, the craving, something like that. And the more we want, the more we suffer, something like that. Though, so the cause of suffering is the desire that we have in our mind. If we can, what to say, consume less, we can get less the suffer. As the monk life, what we say, the simple life, stay simple. The Buddha trying to teach us that no need much more things, no need to be powerful or something like that. So just stay in simple life. The more you stay in simple, the more you uh, get lost the desire. So in here is the desire or the clinging, something like that. It can be the cause of suffering. So stay simple. The suffering will be reduced, something like that.
I see. Thank you very much. So you just remind me of
Okay.
one of the story. I would like to share with everyone that just like pop up in my mind, and it's very interesting. That just said about the word craving. And uh, maybe it's just I'm not sure. Let me share the screen here. This one. There's a very funny story. And to talk to mention about the how to say the cause of suffering, like just Venerable Aungkham just mentioned, craving is the cause of suffering, especially craving on our minds and body. When we have body and we cling or craving on our, that's called suffering. Then especially because self-centered desire, that's called suffering. And this is maybe brief, maybe as the explanation about craving or self-centered desire. Mainly there are three: third for pleasure, third for existence, and third for prosperity. And this story, and actually I really like it because it's related to what Venerable Aungkham mentioned, that because actually it's not the cause of suffering is not out there, but in actually because we misunderstand and
Yes.
we craving. And there's a monkey here. You see the picture here is very funny. There is a very a special trick or way to catch a monkey. The monkey is not an it's an animal. It's not easy to catch a monkey. And a monkey is a kind of animal that's very naughty. It's run and it move very fast. You cannot catch the monkey that easy. But people have a very special way. They use how to say the coconut shell and make a hole in the coconut and tie with the rope and tie with the tree. Then they put the nuts that the monkey really like. And when how to say a hungry third monkey came, and this monkey will took the nuts in the coconut shell, and their fists become bigger. And then they cannot pull their hands from those kind of coconut shell, and actually, if the monkey just how to say wise, a little bit wise, it will be free. It just let go of that nut, and this, and he or the monkey will be free, But unfortunately, most of the monkey, they couldn't really let go that kind of nut, because they want it, But if we just let go that those kind of nut, they're going to they just run away. Then they cannot be caught easily. But because of, I think that's very, very true that most of the time, because of how to say the suffering, or how to say disappointment, or whatever problem that's it happen in our life, because we attach on something that we cannot let it go, and more importantly, we don't know how to let go. It's not easy to understand that's kind of our own desire. So this is a very good example of like how craving, that even in animals and even in human, we also like have this kind of we call craving that is running the circle of suffering. So this is just an example that I would like to like add it from Venerable Aungkham just explain to us about the cause of suffering. So now let's back to another. Let's go move on to another truth about the Four Noble Truth. The third noble truth about the cessation of suffering. The suffering, cause of suffering, and cessation of suffering. What cessation of suffering really mean? So like the ending of suffering. Can you like tell us how these kind of things relate to each other?
Okay. For the end of the suffering, for the let I mention about it. The noble truth. The noble truth is the truth for the noble ones. So if we are not the noble one, we can really know what is the end of the suffering. We can just realize we never been experienced. So to be mentioned here, the end of the suffering is to end up all the desires, defilements, or craving, or something like that. When we can cut this thing, this means that we can cause of the suffering. So let me mention about my own experience when I get the meditation retreat. So in the Four Noble Truth, when I meditate, it all happened to me, because when we just study in the scripture, listen to the Dhamma talk, we just understand a little bit, but the reality is when we practice, we can see it clearly in our mind. So for example that I would like to show you here is when I was meditating in the meditation center, we can see that even though we can, we cannot distinguish for all the suffering, but just a while that we can distinguish the suffering, we can end up the suffering just for a while. That is the end of suffering. For example, when I meditate, we trying to make a mental note everything that happened to us, whatever bad, good, happiness, sadness, something that everything that happened to our mind, we trying to see them, let them happen, and let them go. Doing this way for longer and longer, you can see that our mind is still. It can see that what it happened. And at the time, we can see that whatever suffering, sadness, happiness, everything that happened to our mind, we just see them. We are not with them. We are not with the, what to say? We are not, what to say? Even though we are happy,
Dwell or
but
maybe attached.
even though happiness happen, we just realize that happiness is happening. And that the suffering is happening as well. We just let them happen and let them go. We are not clinging with them. We spread our mind and the feeling or the thing that happened to our mind or to our body. So we can see that thing happen and go. As well as the suffering, it come and it go, but our mind is still peace. We can see that that's the end of the suffering. We can do it in our everyday life. Even though the Buddha, when he when he alives, so he can get the nirvana in the lifetime, not after death. So it doesn't mean that the nirvana is after death. It can be in present moment. We can practice, so we can train our mind to become in every situation. That is the way to end the suffering. So if our practice enough, what to say, if our practice is not enough, we train our mind not enough, we cannot end the suffering. So the main important here is we have to practice our mind, practice our body, practice meditation, so we can uh, end up the suffering just for a while or not for longer. So we can study, practice meditation as well as we can practice our Dhamma as well. So here is to end up suffering, we can end up this lifetime, even though it's just a little bit for a while. That is the end of the suffering. Uh-huh.
So it's just like one of the most venerable and Buddha he mentioned that there's a momentary nirvana and like permanent nirvana, and the like
Mm-hmm.
right present nirvana and how to say after death nirvana or parinibbana. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
uh, Venerable Aungkham just mentioned about nirvana, and actually is not that. Uh, Actually, we have momentary nirvana. It's like the moment that you're free from certain moments from suffering at that moment from moments. So that's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting about the when we talk about the Four Noble Truth, and actually what you mentioned is only the noble one who really truly understand the Four
Yes.
Noble Truth. Like as a we ordinary, like especially practitioners following and learning along the way, maybe we are not that yet achieve that or maybe that state yet. But this is what is
Mm-hmm.
explained in the teaching. Okay, thank you very
So
much,
here is
and please.
so the end of the suffering is not the end of suffering is not the happiness. You know, if we
Mm, mm,
have
mm.
happiness, we will cling to the happiness. We want more
Ah,
happiness, so that is the desire. So it's mean that
yes.
uh,
Uh,
yes.
mm,
So here, the end of the suffering is not the suffering, it's not the happiness, it's not sadness, it's not happiness, something like that. We can
mm,
see everything that happened in our mind. We see them and we let them go. What to say in Bali? We say upekha. Uh,
ah,
we let things
equanimity.
happen and let them go. We see them. We don't cling on them. So that is the end of the suffering. We don't let our mind suffer. So we be
Mm,
the middle way. Uh-huh. So that is the end of the suffering.
uh, so the right understand is that we are not practicing in order to be happier or to have a higher pleasure or something like that. Because as you said, sometimes it could be a trap that we even more how to say cling on that, and that is caught another kind of caught of suffering, and the suffering still continue.
Yes.
But what you said is very
Uh-huh.
interesting, that it actually is about to it is state about the ubeka or equanimity, and is about to let go rather like
Mm-hmm.
achieving, that's very interesting. And I think for number two, we now the third one and the fourth one. I think that is very important, and I think that we have a lot of things to talk about. That the fourth one, and actually, can you tell a little bit about the last ones about the path leading to how to say the medical practice that leading to the end of suffering.
As the Buddha mentioned that the path leading to this suffering, they are it is the Eightfold Path, or the Magga, or we say in Pali, Magga Satya. Magga is mean the way, Satya is mean the truth. We can say another way is the middle way, the middle way. So in the middle way is whoever we can, even though we are not the Buddhists, we can practice as well. It's simple. It's simple, but the way to practice is a little bit harder for the lay people. For the Eightfold Path is the first thing is the right view. Right view is mean to will, to see the way to the truth, seeing the way to the truth. Yes. For example, like here, if we don't see the right way, we can get the wrong way. When we get the wrong way, we will get the wrong direction. So the right view is very important. So it's concerned about the insight or wisdom. So the right view is to will the thing in the right way. For example, like the noble church, the suffering. When we don't see our life is suffering, when we don't see birth is suffering, when we don't see the suffering, so it means that we don't believe in the truth. So when we will think something like that, when we will get the long direction. We will what to say, careless out in our life. So we will get the long direction. So we cannot end the suffering. So the first is the right view.
And right view, then I think there's 8 items: right view and right thoughts, something like that. Right thought, right speech, right action. Those
Yes.
kind of. No, no.
Yes.
So maybe.
And the second one is.
Please.
Okay. So the second one is right thought. Thought here is mean we thought and the right way as well, because it start with the right. It can be, so here it can be the right thought. For example, the thought, when we thought in the good way, everything will be the good consequences. For example, like the positive thinking, positive thought. Our topic here is suffering. So if suffering happen, we can see the suffering is our teacher. It can be it can be the way to lead us to our the right direction. So it means that the right thought is, it can be the positive thinking, trying to see everything in a good condition. So the second one is the right thought. So uh, trying to think in the good way, and everything happen in our lives. What do you think?
I think it's. I totally agree. So then you said that it's every thinking or intention have the consequences. If we think, or because all the action, all the speed is from intention, the way we think. I think it's very very true that in our everyday life, sometimes we don't even know. I am a negatively think of something or positive thinking. Many people are not really aware of this kind of thing. How to say deeply enough. Seeing that kind of thoughts or intention before whatever we are going to do or speak. I think it's very important, like what you just mentioned about the negative or positive of our own thinking. That is affects the way that we behave and the way that we speak.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so
Let's,
and
let's go on
another,
for the third one.
yes, the third
Uh-huh.
one. I think
For
that is
the right
about the.
speech.
You just mentioned is about the first category, and actually about the uh in the Noble Apple Path, they're divided in three categories, and what we just mentioned is the two first group
Uh-huh.
is about the which we call wisdom training. It starts with the mindset,
Yeah.
the way we think, and now it's leading to the action, verbal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. The third one is right speed. Can you like give more explanation on the right speed? What that really means?
Mm-hmm. So right speech here is as far as because in our everyday now we use our speech. It can be the good way, it can be the bad way. Uh,
Mm,
so for example, like now we are trying to use our speech in the good way to
mm,
encourage the people to get the better way. So here is the right speech. We're trying to give the speech that it can be the benefit for the other, trying to say the good thing, trying
mm,
to say the good words to the other, because everyone doesn't like the slander speech, the gossip, something like that. We don't like. So if the other doesn't like, so we don't like as well. So trying to say the good words and the good speech like at the in the five places, the Buddha also mentioned uh, this this speech, the right speech. The Buddha said,
mm,
abstraining from telling lie, from the hate speech, from
mm,
the uh, slander or gossip something. So we're trying to avoid from the bad speech. So trying to
mm,
use the good words to
mm,
encourage the people to say the people in the good way, because our speech is really powerful. You know, when we say the good thing and we say we what to say, our speech is more powerful than the weapons. For example,
mm,
like the gun, you can kill. You can just kill only one or two men. But if we use our speech, it's more powerful than the weapons. It can kill a lot
mm,
of people. So trying to use the good speech, the right speech, to make the people be happier, something like that.
mm. Yes, we
Hmm.
just made this one episode a couple of weeks ago. We did the topic is about the hate speech, and that is concerned and connect to why we should avoid uh, hatred speech or bad speech, something like that. So I think how it is very is that it is negative. It is negative for like meditation practice. Can you like it is actually I think talking about speed is related to our completely our life. So why like in the practice, especially in the monastic life, monk and practitioner, uh, how to say, ask to follow, not to like speak talking in like hatred speech or bad speech, something how it is really affect to our mind when we like telling lie or maybe or telling or maybe make a hate speech or bullies one another, how is relate or connect to our practice and how that's ruin our life. Can you like share with us a little bit more on this point?
Excuse me, can you make your questions shorter to
Oh,
be clear for me?
okay, sorry. Um,
Okay.
I mean, what what our speed, I think that is very important, and you said it's very powerful. And why we should avoid hatred speed, like in like individuals. Not many people really aware of like how. how much is going to make a problem, so maybe people don't really see the result of that kind of like hatred speed and how much it causes a problem. Can you show us why we have to very pay importance on the having a right speech and hate speech, and because many people don't really understand what is right speed or what is like a wrong speed, so as you mentioned some of the example of the right speed, that we have to like talking something that encourage people or make people harmonious, and can you like give us some of the example of the like what is the bad speed, and in order to be able to identify and avoid those kind of things.
For the right speech here is, for example, like many teacher that taught us a lot of the Dhamma. That is the good speech that can change the life of the people. For example, for me as well, when I try to listen to the Dhamma, we can learn from things that come from the right speech, from the good speech that the master teach us from what they are teaching. So when they use the good speech, whoever listen to the right speech, the happiness will occur to happen in our mind. So the speech that we use, that we speak, it will never come back to us. But I mentioned that whatever we speak, if you go out and we cannot stop them, something like that. So if it's very powerful, a lot of the master they trying to teach the Dhamma or the good thing to the other because they want the other to be happy. It's the right speech. For example, like the Venerable Dalai Lama, he trying to use the teaching, the good teaching, to the other people, for their life to be happier, to get more understand about the lives. So the right speed is to trying to use the good speech to other, to encourage them, to teach them the good way, to guide them in the good direction. So that's the right speech. For the hate speech or bad speech that we talk or we speak out, it will be our problem, because whatever we speak, if that is the bad way to the people will hate us. The people will, what to say, it can be the problem, not only us, for the other as well, for a lot of people. So the best bit, it can be more dangerous for the speaker and for the listener as well. It can be very dangerous.
So I agree, and actually with the way that we speak, and because it affects our mind, and other people's mind, it's influence other people thinking and our thinking, and I totally agree that is very very true about it. Why we should avoid the wrong speed or hate speed, and we should like have more right speed and the speed that make people make people harmonious and loving each other. I think that is very very important. Next one is right action. Maybe right action. Can you like share with us a little bit of right action? Sorry. Now we have a question from Julius Pacheco. I have a question. Can you please give us a clear explanation on the difference of right mindfulness and right concentration? Okay, we'll go to that point, and after we finish, we'll go from one by one. It's a very interesting question. It's very important. Okay. Okay. Maybe we can go quickly on right action. Okay. Venerable Aungkham.
Right action, or in Pali we call Samma Kammanta. Kammanta is mean like our action, that whatever we do or whatever we did. It can be the action that we have done. So here is the right action is to go to what to say, to use our body in the good way, in the right action, because our action can be good and can be bad, depends on our mind what we are doing. So here is right action. We trying to what to say,
Be careful with our
trying to
behavior.
yes, yes. Our behavior, because our the human behavior, it might be is like the water. Water is always flow from the lowest way. Our mind as
Oh,
well.
I
Our mind
see.
as well, like the
Mm,
water.
mm,
Uh, our
mm,
mind
mm,
will go down like the water. If we don't train
mm,
our mind, and our body will come off what we are thinking in our mind. So
mm,
uh, train our mind to be good first, and the right action will be follow. Uh-huh.
mm. Okay, that I think it's very
That
clear
makes
about
sense.
right actions. Yes, it's. I think this it is not very difficult to understand. A right action. Is about the
Uh-huh.
action. Whatever we do, it follow like you said. It follow the mind. It's like the mind as the head. And the body and the action is how to say the effect of the way that we think. So that's why and until when whatever happened in the mind is bigger enough, it's come through the actions. I see. So
Mm-hmm.
now let's move to the next one, right? Livelihood. What's that really mean? Livelihood, life, right?
Um,
Livelihood.
right, livelihood is to in our day in our every day in our life, we have to uh, earn money. We have to do things to get to get survive. So sometime uh, we get in the wrong direction. We do uh, we what to say, uh, we do the bad thing to earn the money. We go on, we
Mm,
do the wrong relation to earn the money. We don't stay in harmonious.
mm.
We what to say? Uh, we live on the other to earn money,
Oh, I see. So
and
it's
that is
like you're
the
throwing
wrong.
other people's, and in order to like uh simply call like take advantage on other.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
take advantage on the other
I
to
see.
get
Mm,
consequences for oneself. So
mm,
in here, livelihood is we trying uh, to do the good thing in our life. What to say,
mm,
to earn the life way, not harm the other. The other
mm,
also happy. We also happy. We trying to do it this way,
mm.
not hurt the other.
Yeah, it's like trade
Something
in
like
the
that.
right way. It's like it's not like trading poison, trade on weapon,
Uh-huh.
like trade on
Uh-huh.
humans, or like use people in the wrong way to in order to make your own benefit, something like that, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's like we should live or treat our life in and our like gaining or income should not cause to cause problem for others. Simply, I think that is maybe I'm not
Yes.
sure that could be close to the word right livelihood. Okay,
Uh-huh.
that's very clear. So now we move on to the very important part and the question that Julius Precocious sent us. I think that's very important. And before we move to that question, and there's another important one of the Noble Eightfold Path is that right efforts I try to understand many times about the right effort, So I just like simply know effort. Yes, all of us we have effort. Efforts means like energy that we put on to do something. So what is right effort means by in the Noble Eightfold Path? Can you like explain to us on this point?
For the right effort or Samma Vayama, we trying to encourage ourselves to the good way. For example, like we trying to do the meditation, and we don't have effort, we never succeed in meditation. So in here, if we trying to do the if we trying to encourage or if we have the right effort, if we don't have the right effort, uh, the good thing never happens. So we're trying to encourage ourselves in the right way. Like I mentioned, in the meditation way, we're trying to meditate. We're trying to encourage ourselves to do the good thing for ourselves and for the other. So right effort here is to what to say, trying in a good way, trying to make ourselves in the right direction, trying ourselves in doing in the good thing, not trying to do the bad thing, something like that.
It's like when there's just a negative mind arise in our mind, we should like try to stop it. Is that is
Yes.
that right
Mhm.
efforts? I mean, okay,
Yes,
that's very
trying
clear.
to create and the good thing in our life and trying to stop the bad thing.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
thinking
And
positive.
whatever happen, whatever the good thing happen, and we're trying to keep them. Mhm.
It's like maintain, like keep that kind of uh, good thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
I see.
Yes, and trying to avoid the bad thing to happen.
Oh, okay. So like protect, like try to
Yes.
away, protect ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that makes sense. So
Uh-huh.
right efforts. Okay. Okay. Now I think let's move to this question. So, can you please give us clearer explanation on differences of right mindfulness and right concentration? I think this is the last two last item in the Noble Eightfold Path, and I think this is a very important section. And like as you have practice and meditation, I think is a very important part in the vipassana meditation training about the mindfulness and concentration. How that I sometimes also confuse that mindfulness and concentration, maybe it is the same thing or it is different. Can you like or like explain to us or give more detail on this point?
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Very interesting
right
question.
mindfulness, or we can say samma sati.
Oh.
Sati is mean like the awareness. Everyone have the awareness. When the people are trying to do the bad thing, they also have the mindfulness. For example, like a sniper, they also use the mind awareness or mindfulness to use their gun to kill the other. Do you think that is uh, the right mindfulness? It's not. So in the
Mm-hmm.
meditation, we're trying to use our mindfulness to do in the right way. And when we're walking, we're trying to stay with our movement. When at the right feet go, we say going in. When we are walking, we know that we are walking. We're trying to use the awareness or mindfulness with our body, with our thought, with our action, with our speech. So that is the right mindfulness, awareness. We're trying to use in the right way. Uh, it also have uh, uh, the wrong mindfulness. As I mentioned before, that when we trying to do the bad thing, we also use the mindfulness as well, but it's not the right mindfulness. So trying to use our mindfulness in the right way. We're trying to use it in the good condition. For example, like when we do everything in our life, we're trying to use them. When you are listening, that you just mindful that you are listening. When you speak, you're trying to mindful on your speech. Trying to use our mindfulness in every action, in every movement. That is the right mindfulness. Because when we keep mindful in our action, the desire cannot get in our mind. For example, like when we heard the gossip, actually the people will think in their mind that, oh, they are saying bad thing to me, and we getting anger. So when we trying to use our mindfulness, we just listen and just make a mental note that healing, something like that. We just hear from the right ears, and it come from the left ear. We don't let them happen to our mind. So if we don't let the speech come to our mind, the anger never happen in our mind. So that's we are using the mindfulness, the right mindfulness. That is clear.
It's very clear. It's like a no analyzing, when we hear something, but by nature, we tend to like think further, make a story in our mind. Oh, who is this voice? Is it lady? Is it a gentleman? Or what are they talking about? That's by nature immediately. So what you explain, like it's just like come to of in the the right ears, and let it like pass through the left ears. I think that makes sense. So right mindfulness, and what about the right and concentration? It is a difference between these two to think concentration and mindfulness.
Yes, it's quite different, because mindfulness it's kinds of we keep awareness from everything that happened, but for the concentration, we concentrate on something. In the meditation or vipassana meditation, we trying to use two things: the mindfulness and concentrate might be balanced. When our mindfulness stronger than the concentration, our mind will be jump out from what to say. It's not still. It come over there and over here. It jump like a monkey.
So
When
move
our
over, move
mindfulness stronger than the concentrate, so the concentrate might be the concentrate is has to balance with the mindfulness. Concentrate is mean we're trying to concentrate on something. What to say? We concentration like a this chana. When we practice, I don't know what to say in English. So the is yes, it's different from concentration and mindfulness. What to say in samadhi and sati
samadhi.
in Pali. So if we just have only concentration, when we do the sitting meditation, our mind will be shut down. We will get sleepy because we lost the mindfulness. Our mind still and it doesn't work. We will fall down, something like that. So the mindfulness and concentration must be balanced.
So can I say
Do you
that?
have?
Can I say that when I feel sleepy, for example, my own experience actually. So when I meditate and I sometimes fall asleep, can I say that I have concentration but lack of mindfulness, and so I feel like fall asleep. Could that be the case?
Yes, it could be, because it might be balanced. If it doesn't balance, if you something may happen, get sleepy, something like that. So do you have another idea about concentration?
Concentration, I think, is very. What I heard is it's about meditation. Concentration is like focus, and I'm not sure that
Mm-hmm.
there's level or quality of the concentration. And you mentioned about China, and that is one of the very general speaking in the practice of meditation. So I think when we talk about the concentration, a right concentration, it could be about the China at the level of the how to say the level of the meditation. We call it the four level. What I heard. It's like from the
Yes.
Chan, Patama Chana, Tutiya Chana, something like. But I don't really know about the details on the right concentration, and but I think that is very interesting. That the more our mind becomes how to say become one pointedness, because it's not easy to make our to be able to focus on something for uncertain thing and only one thing for a long time. By nature our mind would jump to this and there all the time. So that's why I think mindfulness and concentration is similar, is go together. Whenever we realize that I no longer with the how to say the the object or the thing that we want to focus on, that means we're lacking of mindfulness, and mindfulness allowed us to be able to come back. And when the mindfulness allowed us to have stronger concentration, and concentration allowed us to be able to how to say aware or improve mindfulness. It's like each one like supporting each other, what I feel like, but I'm not sure that is
Yes.
maybe could be the case in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. This is a very, very important question. So when we talk about mindfulness, and I heard about the full foundation of mindfulness, and I think that is very important in the Vipassana meditation training about the full foundation of mindfulness. Can you like tell us a little bit about the full foundation of mindfulness? Just briefly, maybe this topic it's we're going to like have another episodes.
Okay. I'm not clear about
Like
the. Can you say in Thai, please? Just what do you say?
Satipatthana for foundation of mindfulness on the contemplating on the body, the feeling, the mind, and the
Okay.
Dhamma,
Okay.
something like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. And it's very important in Vipassana, because Vipassana it depends on the foundation that you mentioned. The first is body. Body is because we use our body to meditate, to use it in everyday life. So we trying to use our mindfulness on our body. Yes, in our body, for example, like as I mentioned before that, when when the movement happen in our body, we trying to use the mindfulness on our body. So it means that whatever you do, whatever your movement happen, trying to use the mindfulness focus on the body. It means that the first we use our body in the foundation, the first foundation. Is that clear?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not sure it's Kaya Nupassana or something in Pali. Is
Yes,
the
in Pali we call Kaya
concentration
Nupassana.
on the body, the movement,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
yes, and
So it's
the
really
next.
important that we yes, really important that when we practice vipassana, we trying to focus everything in our body, whatever. And the second is Vijnanupasana, you say, it's like the feeling, right? Because everyone have the feeling. Uh, so sometimes when we sitting meditation, when we see it, the feeling or vedana will happen on our body, like pain, something like that will happen, or hate, like the core, something happens in our body. If we lost our mindfulness, we get what to say, we will get suffered. So when we use the mindfulness on the Vedana, when something happened to us, for example, like the mosquito come to bite us, uh, we trying to look, and we trying to look at the pains from the biting out the mosquito, and we just realize that it's paining, it's pain, and so we let it happen and let it go, trying to use the vedana or the feeling. I use mindfulness on the feeling, whatever feeling come to our body, come to our mind, come to our thought. We trying to mindful on them and not them happen in our mind. Just let them happen and let them go. Focus on the
Yes,
the feeling.
the feeling. Yes, that's
Uh-huh.
very very clear. The sensation, feeling that's happened. Yeah. Okay. Then
Uh-huh.
another one is the mindful contemplating on mind. Yeah, mind.
On mind.
What? Yes, yes. So I think
Yes.
this quite interesting about the mind. So the body, I think it's easy to observe it, how to be mindful with the body, the movement. But the mind sometimes is very it's very fine to know our own self that how my mind really is. So can you like tell us maybe sure clearly picture on this point about the contemplation on the mind.
Mm-hmm. Or the mind, or we can say that the thinking or the thought. Because
Thought.
when
Yes.
we close our mind, the thought will become in our mind. Even though we close our eye, we can see the thought in our mind, in our head. It
I
come.
see.
It can be the past experience that come again, and we thought
Mm,
for the future. Uh,
mm,
and when something happen, we in our mind we will think what is happening, what is doing, and we lost our mindfulness. So in here, what happened, what is thinking that happened in our mind, we just know that is thinking, and thinking is thinking. We trying to focus on the thinking, which we trying to not to trying to not to follow the thinking, trying to see them, for example, like the monkey. uh-huh. uh,
mm, mm,
when the monkey, we can see that uh, it doesn't, the monkey, uh, they don't stay still, they jump over here and over there, right? So we trying to see them, look at them. When they are tired, they will stay still. It's at our mind, trying to see what is happening, just see it, trying to
mm,
use the mindfulness to see our thought,
mm,
to see our thinking, whatever, but don't
mm,
gel with them, don't follow the thinking. Sometimes we, in our life, when we think, we try to think what to do tomorrow, and what to do that, what to do. We always plan, and that's we lost our mindfulness. We follow our thought,
mm, mm.
something like that. So when we use the mindfulness to focus on our thought or our mind, uh, if you cut up the thought, we just look at them. We are not stay with them. We let them happen, and if we go, because it's impermanent, something like that.
I see. So that connect to the
That's the
thing
key.
that we talk about the Dhamma. So what about the Dhamma? Dhamma
Uh-huh.
is like it's been seeing things as like as an impermanence, rising and fade away, rising and fade away. Is that just considered as a Dhamma or maybe Dhammanupassana or some? It's I think it's quite hard. It's hard to understand this point. Can you? Did you have any uh,
The third one it can be the Dhammanupassana. The fourth one is my Cittanupassana, Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana. The third one we talk about the mind, or what to say, the mind, Dhammanupassana or Cittanupassana. We are talking now. We are talking about Cittanupassana, right?
Yes.
Cittanupassana is the mind. Yes. So we are talking about Cittanupassana, or about the mind. Mind is the thought. Thought always happen in our mind. Even though we are sleeping, the thought will be happen again and again. If you review again and again, something like that. So when we practice meditation, our mindfulness will be stronger. We can see when it happens and when it goes. We can see it clearly, but we are not cling on them. We are not suffer, or we are not happy on the thought. We're trying to use the mindfulness on our mind, see what happened and what goes.
Okay, that's I think that's very that's very clear on the right mindfulness. So this is about the additional explanation on the right mindfulness and how it's different from the concentrations. So okay, I think this is what we have mentioned. I think it's a good question, and it's a lot to talk more about the mindfulness and concentration meditation. And there's many thing in detail. So this is about the bigger picture from the beginning about the truth and the Four Noble Truth. I think this is a bigger picture on the teaching of the Buddha. So because the teaching of the Buddha, when we talk about the truth or the Four Noble Truth, all the teaching, it is said that all the teaching of the Buddha relate, relate to the Four Noble Truth, And so whatever the five khandha, the five aggregates, whatever about the Noble Eightfold Path, or those many other kind of the teaching of the Buddha are linked to the noble, the Four Noble Truths. What we have mentioned and discussed today, I think we have spent a very long time on this topic, and actually, and for I think now, if you have any question, please send us and throughout the topic that we have discussed today. So before we have 5 more minutes before we end our live today. So any question? Now watching human. It's a very long name. Shan Lai Gang. Thank you both, Venerable, for the Dhamma sharing. Sadhu as well. Thank you. Okay, now I think I come to our last section. And today's ending section, I would like to invite Venerable Aungkham to give us a short Dhamma, then maybe guide us for a short meditation practice, and we will leave this live for this evening live. Please.
Sorry.
Could you please give us some short speed, or maybe some teaching before we leave, and maybe talking about the topic that we mentioned today, and we'll go to the meditation section.
Okay. So as our topic today is the suffering. So we are studying about suffering to get the happiness, to get out from suffering. So trying to use the middle way, trying to use the good action, to good speech, a good mind to get out to the right direction, that we can get out of suffering. Because of the suffering, this suffering, they will be the happiness. So realize that suffering is the way to gain the happiness. So don't avoid or don't hate the suffering. Love the suffering. If you love the suffering, the happiness will be come to you. So thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Venerable Aungkham, for joining us today live section, and thank you all the audience, all the comments and questions that you have mentioned on the comment section below. And now I would like to invite everyone to practice loving kindness meditation together before we leave this life. Okay, now just okay, let's spread loving kindness together. May all living beings be free from
May
suffering
all living beings
and pain.
be free from suffering.
May all living beings be free from
May all living
violence and
beings
war.
to be free from violence from the world.
May all living beings
May all living
be free
beings
from hatred and killing.
be free from hatred and killings.
May all living beings
May all living beings
be happy and secure.
be happy and secure.
May all living beings
May all living beings
have well-being and peace.
have well-being and peace.
May peace and happiness
May peace and happiness
be revealed in ourselves.
be revealed in ourselves.
May peace and happiness
May peace and happiness
be revealed in the world.
be revealed in the world.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. See you until next time.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join this program. And thank you for our audience. And good night.